Hey there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Welcome to day 262 of our Be a Better You annual challenge. We're doing one thing every day this year to be a better human being, a better version of ourselves, because that's the only thing we can be is ourselves. And once we come to terms with that and realize that, life becomes so much easier. And guess what? We get to decide exactly who it is that we want to be and how we want to show up in the world. Today's topic, all this month, we're focusing on spiritual health and well-being. And today's topic is spiritual judgment. Now, of course, I have some thoughts and opinions on this, which I'm going to share, and I'll give us an action item today. But first and foremost, we have to ask ourselves, what does judgment mean to us? I think I've shared that I had a sudden cardiac arrest in 2010 and dropped dead right in one of my businesses. And fortunately for me, one of the business people working that day knew CPR and actually helped to keep me going until the paramedics arrived with an ICD, and or not an ICD, ECD, or whatever they call them, external cardiac device, and jump-started my heart so that I didn't die on that memorous occasion. I spent I think 7 to 10 days in a coma. I don't know. I was asleep. And then had an ICD, an internal cardiac device, installed for insurance purposes to kind of just keep me going. My first one lasted, I think, 13 years, which is pretty good. So it was only supposed to last 9. So I'm hoping that the next one lasts like 15 or 20. We'll see. That surgery is much easier than the first one. So today we're talking about judgment. And the reason I bring up that story is when I woke up from that coma, one of the things that just kept running through my mind, two things kept running through my mind. One was be you, be yourself. You can't be anybody else. And the second one was, and embrace that. And the second one was judgment. People being judgmental of other people or other things or complaining about stuff drove me up a wall. Like I could almost feel my skin crawl. It would bother me so much. And I think it's because, it's really hard to admit, I was super judgmental before my sudden cardiac arrest. I was judging other people, other things, situations. Mostly I was judging myself, and not in a good way. I wasn't cheerleading myself. I was judging myself and believing that I never really measured up in any aspect of my life, much less in all of them, which is really the opposite of what I underlying and actually at my core believe about myself and about other people. And so it really, really bothered me for a while until I asked myself a couple of questions, and that helped to clear it up for me. But I noticed that I had gone from being really judgmental before my sudden cardiac arrest and it drove my family nuts. I choose not to participate. Instead of getting involved in arguments or things that would cause conflict, I would actually tell my family and friends, guys, I'm going to choose not to participate in this, which was my giving myself permission to choose peace and how I wanted to show up in the world over complaining, bitching, moaning, judging, etc. And I think it's had a very profound impact on my state of being most of the time when I'm living. Now, I'm finding that, and I have so many stories I could share. I'm not gonna go into that. But so what are we gonna do today? How are we gonna deal with this? First and foremost, ask yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, how judgmental are you? The more judgmental you are of yourself, of other people, of things, of the world, of how things should be, that's the higher number. You get the higher number. And guess what? We don't want to be super judgmental, at least in my humble opinion. I think it leads us to comparing ourselves to others. I think it leads us to being jealous or envious of other people. I think it leads us down a path that isn't for us. It doesn't feel good, right? Does it really feel good to be judgmental and criticize other people and other things and feel like we don't measure up? I don't think so. If it does to you, somebody else is going to have to help you with this. I'm not going to be your person. But I like to ask myself a couple of questions around that as well. So rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. If you're brave, share in the comments below. I'm going to tell you right now, I've been acting like about a 7 lately. And that is totally not me, which is part of why I'm excited to talk about this topic today. I need to recalibrate, and only in one area of my life am I acting that way. And so I make it sound like, oh, I'm a 7 and everything, but we're never anything and everything, right? So in one area and aspect of my life, I've been acting like a 7, and that's not who I am. And so I'm just going to eliminate that behavior and that distraction from my life. Better to ask, how can I help or how can I understand in any given situation? We're gonna be in situations where people are behaving judgmentally and when we want to be judgy, right? But what if we ask ourselves, how can I help or how can I understand this situation and this perspective? Instead of judging, let's look for empathy and understanding and build communication. And I think it boils down to the difference between acceptance, accepting what is, and being judgmental or judging what is. Because that's what we're doing. We're just judging what the current situation is. And who are we to judge? I like to ask myself a lot of the time, who am I to judge this? Why do I even want to weigh in on this? And should I? And if the answer is no, sometimes I will do it anyway, which is what I'm talking about and saying I'm a 7 in one area and aspect of my life. And I'll admit right now, it's on social media. It's on specifically one platform of social media. I get sucked in, and I don't want to be sucked in because I'm not that person. And then I think the way we can combat this is being mindful and being present. If we're mindful and present in the situation and we ask ourselves, who am I to judge in this situation? What can I understand? How can I help? We're going to get a better result for ourselves. And do this when you're judging yourself too. Ask yourself, is this helpful? Is me thinking and comparing myself to other people helpful to me? The answer is always no. Comparing yourself to others is always a no because you are not them. You have not walked in their shoes. You do not even know the tip of the iceberg of their story. Even if you think that they're a total open book, I share like everything just about on social media and in my videos. But that's still just the tip of the iceberg of who I am as a human being. So what are we going to do today? We are going to rate ourselves on a scale of 1 to 10 for judgment. And you're going to have to mush down together all the situations and all of it, right? That's the thing about taking something that's really subjective and trying to apply an objective number to it. And then try to substitute acceptance. This works for me for frustration too. Hey, what is just is. I don't need to judge it. I don't need to get frustrated or judgmental or anything about it. It just is. I can take that current situation and I can transform it into what I really want, or I can bitch and moan and complain about it and it's just going to stay stuck where it is. I'm going to vote for transformation every time because I don't want to be frustrated. I don't want to be judgmental. I don't want to be adding negatively to this crazy world that we're already living in, right? There's enough people doing that. I don't need to jump on board that bandwagon. All right. Any questions about this? Love to know your take on judgment. And again, it can tie into spirituality with respect to our faith, our religious beliefs, the things that we've been taught, the things that we believe. And that's a whole other component of this. But that's, to me, that is our private beliefs. We don't have to justify those to anyone, right? We do not have to justify our existence or who we are to anyone on the planet. We don't need to ask permission to be ourselves. And I think that's a really powerful message to take away today. All right. If I can help you, ask. Otherwise, have an awesome day. And I will, of course, be with you tomorrow.